Dr. Lalita Srinivasan is a dancer, teacher, choreographer, and a research scholar. Her organization, Nupura School of Bharatanatyam, has been a flag bearer of the Mysore style of Bharatanatyam, emerging with a style that typifies grace, dignity, and a completely different way of rendering the abhinaya or emotive aspect of the repertoire. Dr. Lalita is the foremost disciple of late Padma Bhushana Dr. K. Venkatalakshma. She is known for her mastery over abhinaya and has received and passed on to her students several rare and authentic compositions of the Mysore school that were performed in the erstwhile court of Mysore. Dr. Lalita has performed all over the country and also given innumerable lecture demonstrations at all prestigious platforms and on all occasions. Dr. Lalita Srinivasan is a choreographer par excellence and has to her credit numerous dance ballets like Chitrangada, Shri Krishna Parijata, Lasyotsava, Prema Bhakti Mukti, Kaushika Sukritam, Gaudaramalli, Devakannika, Nisha Vibhrama, etc., which have been performed all over India and abroad. She is especially lauded for her innovative works like Anga Bhava, Kapya Nritya, and Sulalita Nritya, which is a revival of a 16th century dance form, the Suladi, and Nisha Vibhrama. Dr. Lalita Srinivasan has tutored several students through her institution Nupura. Many of them have gone forward to perform and run institutions of their own all over the world. Dr. Lalita Srinivasan is the holder of the prestigious Shiromani Priyadarshini Awards at the national level, the Karnataka Kala Tilaka by the Sangeeta Nritya Academy Karnataka, Kannada Rajyotsava Award, and the prestigious Shantala Award from the Karnataka government, amongst many others. She was also a fellow of the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. The Karnataka Sangeeta Nritya Academy has published 2 of the books she has authored, and for more than 30 years, she has directed the Nitya Nritya, a national festival of dance that has brought many gurus and talented artists to Bengaluru and is instrumental in invigorating the dance scenes in Bengaluru. We now welcome Dr. Lalita Srinivasan.
Welcome here today to Namaha Foundation for the Arts Karnataka Composers Day program. We are celebrating our 5th year anniversary, and we have been fortunate to have such eminent and famous scholars, gurus, natyacharyas, musicologists in our as our guests during this festival. Today we have with us Dr. Lalita Srinivasan. Anybody who has learnt Bharatanatyam and who is from Karnataka would be aware of Dr. Lalita Srinivasan. So we will have a performance by her students from the Nupura School of Bharatanatyam later in the week. But today, we would like to hear from Dr. Lalita Srinivasan herself, her journey and her research and her work in the field of Mysore style of Bharatanatyam. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you so much. Namaste to all the viewers. And then I have taken up a big job because many people do not think of Karnataka and the dance map at all. So it's very nice of you and really very heartening to know that you have organized this festival. All the best to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And it's nice always to speak about our tradition and the way we have grown up in those things, and then we are proceeding along to further this style which I have cherished, I have respected and loved and performed also for many, many years.
Correct. So
Karnataka has always had a hoary tradition of dancing, the earliest period being the Chalukya era. The Badami and Aihole caves and Pattadakal temples depict many of the Marga tradition of dancing coming down from Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra, which are Karanas, Charis, And those things are seen earliest between 5th and 7th century.
Wow. Okay.
Of Chalukyan period. There's also a mention of a great Natuvanar, Achala, who was in the court of Chalukyan kings, and he taught and performed and created new items of dance. He has been praised for that.
Okay.
So coming from there to the next Hoysala period, there is a definite change in the Marga tradition to the Desi traditions.
Okay.
So many people have done research on these localized dance methods, the charis and brahmaris, and also the karna, utpati karnas, what are known as, and brought light onto these forgotten modes of dancing and methods of dancing, and so many unknown adus have been unearthed. So it is really very heartening to know that we had a wonderful tradition in Karnataka. I don't know, unfortunately it has been forgotten, or maybe the onslaught of Muslim invasion has destroyed many of it.
Right.
Earliest being the Vijayanagara Empire.
Correct.
That was the source of all the dancing styles in South India. I can confidently say that.
I see. Okay.
Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Bhagavata Mela, Yakshagana, Kolata, and so many in the Suladi, Prerani, all these things took root during the Vijayanagara Empire. Okay. So it spread throughout South India, and it got pocketed in certain areas like Tanjavur and Thiruvananthapuram and Mysuru Court, Vodiyars and all that. So that happened, and then Karnataka, unfortunately, again the rule of Hyder and Tipu Sultan again destroyed many of these beautiful traditions.
Correct, correct.
So once again it was revived by the Vodiyar kings, though they were proficient in music and literature and so many other things. Many of them we have to name them.
Yes.
So this is how it came down to us, this tradition of dancing. In that, mainly the Suladi Prabandha, which was created by the Dasavaranyas in the Vijayanagara period, then Prerani, and then Gaundali, Jekkini. These were forms which were danced in the Mysuru. Okay. The literature also says there was Marga tradition earlier. The Jain poets like Pampa, Ranna, all these people have described how Devendra danced with the charis and karnas and apsaras who danced beside him or on his body itself, hands and legs and all that. That's what has been described by Pampa. And also Ranna, Ponna, Nagachandra, Nemi Chandra to Ratnakara Varni in the 16th century. They've all described beautiful performances. And then especially Ratnakara Varni has described the Pindi Bandhas, different ways of dancing groups. His 8 queens used to dance Jalakanika Nritya, Hamsa Natya, all these things, and also the Chitra Natya, where they used to perform and produce the Mayura Chitra or Brindavana and all those things. Correct. All that has been wiped out, God knows where it went, but some people have tried to revive that. I have done the Suladi Prabandha basing on the 17th century Damodara Pandita's Sangeeta Darpana. According to his instructions, I studied the charis and karanas and brought out my own version of the Suladi Prabandha, which I called Sulalita Nritya because I wanted a ornamental name for that. That's all. Instead of Sulu Hadi is easy way to reach the God. That's what they meant in the old Kannada. But it sounds a little uncomfortable. So I changed the name to Sulalita Nritya. And Dr. Tulsi Ramchandra has done the Prerani, Suladi also, and Dr. Radhika Nandakumar has done the Gaundali. So somehow we have dug up certain things
Correct.
And also, sometimes it's surprising the information you get when you are studying or reading magazines and things like that. That the court tradition of Karnataka, how did it develop? It is a wonder. But Chinnaya, the first of the Tanjore quartet, came to Maharaja Mummadi Krishnaraja Odiyar's court, and then he was so strong in his ability of the Bharatanatyam. From then on, the actual Bharatanatyam repertoire took root in the Mysore court and in the Mysore tradition. Until then, there were all those kind of different kinds of dancing, which has nothing to prove or nothing to show today. That's our misfortune, or and I don't know what to say about it. So we have lost. But the sculptures, many sculptural attitudes and the group numbers on the Vijayanagara sculptures and Nanjangudu temple and so many of the Hoysala temples prove that there's a lot of Lasya, Kaishiki kind of dancing in Bharatanatyam. It's predominant in our style. The Kaishiki and Lasya mode. Very definitely predominant.
Even before
yes.
Chinnaya came to the courts, Lasya was a predominant aspect.
Yes, it seems to be like when we go through these charis and localized desi modes of dancing, it seems to be more rounded and flowy kind of dancing rather than very strict adherent to lines.
Got it. Yes, yes.
Also, the court tradition, which I learned, did not allow much for any kind of loud presentations.
I see.
So the nritya was subdued. And this thing, Abhinaya became predominant. Because the court was full of Sanskrit, Telugu and Kannada scholars. So they enjoyed the lyrical aspect of these dances and music. And the dancers were very well versed in Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada and music especially. And the stress was more on the literature and melody behind the scene of dance than anything else. So nritya became a little lowered in its content and usage, and this became Abhinaya became very strong. And once again, when I think of the Jati Tayama's tradition to which I belong, my guru Dr. Venkatrakshama was a disciple, direct disciple. I was with her for 20 long years with Venkatrakshama Guru. And then the surprising thing is the Purva Ranga Vidhi, which is observed by the Mysuru school, is very different from the Bharatanatyam mode.
Correct.
The Shabdas we do, the Ganapati Shabda, the Ekambara Shabda of Mugur school, they are just like the Sarfoji Maharaja's description of Shabdas. A few jatis with a verse in praise of the Ganapati or Nataraja or whatever. So these are a little surprising things here and there which remain. And the Ganapati Shabda of our school specially has the pen name of Narana Kavi, Narana Kavi Nutta. This Narana Kavi lived in the 17th century in Melattur.
Okay.
He was the contemporary of Venkatarama Shastri, the Bhagavatamala expert, who created Bhagavatamala stories like Prahalada Charita and all that. How did it seep into the Mysore's court even before Chinnaya? How did they take it up and started dancing? And that more than 100-year-old item we still keep to.
Okay.
I was taught that by Dr. Venkatrakshama. You must have seen the Mysore Jatis or Shabda.
Yes.
We keep it intact because it's an antique piece.
Correct. I've seen a lot of modifications to it these days, but I think...
I know, but personally I don't like to, because it's beautiful as it is.
Yes.
We can create other things.
Correct.
We don't have to meddle into what our elders or earlier people have done. We have to respect that, I think, to some extent.
Correct.
So the judges are very very nice and impactful.
Correct.
So others use it for a different way of dancing. But I personally would like to keep it as it is.
Keep it like that, yes.
So, and these are surprising elements. From where did these things come? And then what happened to the Suladi, such prabandhas?
Correct.
Till 17th century, Govinda Vaidya has described in Kantira Narsimha Raja Odiyar's Charita, he has described Suladi in 17th century.
Okay.
And then it became extinct. I don't know what happened. But in the Kolara tradition, there is the Saptataleshwari Jatiswaras and Varnas, which is surprising. I think it has come from the source of Suladis, because Suladis have the Alankara Talas, Saptatalas.
Yes, yes.
It was difficult in the sense it has had a way of singing and it demanded a lot of Karanas, Charis and Anga, Pratyangam usages and in a Desi mode.
Correct.
So that might have been difficult. And then the pace of each stanza differs.
I see.
So it's difficult for both the musician and dancer and Natavana to hold on to it. So it must have become with the influence of Chinnaya bringing out Varnams and all that from Tanjore school. This must have changed into Varna format.
Correct.
As Saptataleshwari Varna, Saptataleshwari Jatiswara. So that must have happened because you get influenced by the outside things which are stronger. It blows stronger on you and you take up those modes. That must have happened. Still, there are many rare items still in the Kolara tradition, in the Nanjangoodu tradition, and also Muguru tradition. It's surprising. Each one is different.
Yeah, that is what I wanted to ask you, because even, I mean, we talk about broad Tanjavur style, Kalakshetra style, but within Mysore style itself, it seems like there are so many sub, styles that is being taught. I mean, how are they each different from each other?
No, you see that Tanjavur was the source. From there deviated the Pandanallur school.
Okay.
Moved the which is Varur school. And Kalakshetra school. Like that here also it might have happened. From the tradition of the earlier ones, it might have, because the strength of the guru matters in these things a lot. Correct. To build up a style. If he is very creative, very knowledgeable, he breaks his own path.
That's true.
So that becomes a tradition.
Correct.
When he is strong, like Mugur, Amritappa and Subbanna and all, where they created the great Natavanas and choreographers who created certain things. That became repertoire of Mugur school.
Okay.
And then Jatitayama was proficient in Sanskrit, Telugu and all that, and Abhinaya was very subtle and beautiful, and she created a court tradition of Abhinaya.
Okay.
Then the Nanjangoodu style had its own salient features. Like so many Varnams and their own, and the Mishra Chapu, this Jampetala Varnam, which is very rare. They dance that. And so many Abhinaya pieces, Devarnamas, and things like that. And then the other style, the Muguru, Mysuru, Kolara. Kolara tradition itself has so many rare numbers. The Gita, Swarapallavi, which is like a Jatiswaram, Saptakaleshwari, Varnams. All this still Dr. Radhakrishna Guru from the Kolar Parampara is still alive with us, 94 years old, and his students, Admini Sridhar and Veena Morab, all these people are following that tradition. And they have learned these items. It's worth keeping them up, and then some people must learn and progress it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very important.
And then when coming to my tradition, Dr. Venkat Lakshma's, the salient feature of the Abhinaya was that it was very structured, very subtle. And also, they were not given to any drama.
Okay.
Like this. Everything was said through hand gestures and facial expressions. Sancharis they used to do, but minimal. Not like today, the storytelling was not much there.
Okay.
And it was, the Vinaya portions had a vast repertoire. Like Gita Govinda was danced by the Mysuru school dancers earliest than others in South India, because there must have been some connection between Vijayanagara itself had connection with the Orissa. And later also Ganga kings ruled, a branch of Karnataka kings ruled Orissa.
Okay.
Lakshmana Sena was a king in whose court was Jayadeva.
Okay.
So it must have seeped into the consciousness of the Karnataka people.
Correct.
So he danced the Ashtapadis, the shlokas from Gita Govinda, which is almost akin to what I see in Orissa today.
I see. Okay.
When I saw Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra and my Guru Dr. Venkat Lakshma, there hardly used to be any difference in the Vinaya, especially of Yahi Madhava, the famous ones, Natahare, Ratisukasare. They were so similar in attitude and hand gestures, centuries. It is amazing to know such things.
Correct.
So there must have been such a strong tradition of Abhinaya in Mysuru. Then we also dance Amaru Shataka, which is rarely done by anybody else but Odissi dancers. Amaru Shataka is a Sringara Shataka, 100 Shatakas verses, which are very beautiful, and we used to dance. Here I have been taught some of them. We danced that Amaru Shataka Shloka, Sringara Shataka, before a Padam.
I see.
The theme depicted in the verse denotes the kind of Naika or the mood of the Naika in the verse itself, Shloka itself.
Okay.
And then we do the Abhinaya. It used to be an elaborate process. And then for Javlis, especially Karnataka was famous for Javlis.
Javlis, yes.
And before that, let me tell you, Mukundamala was danced, Bhartrihari's Niti Shataka was danced, and then Devarnama's Galore from Kanakadasa and Purandardasas, Vyasarayas, Sripadarayas, all these used to be danced. And then the local composers like Muttaya Bhagavatar, Vasudevacharya, Mysuru Sadashivaraya, everybody contributed to the dance scene in their own. So all these things used to be danced, and Maharajas themselves were great composers.
Correct.
Early 17th century, Chikkadevaraj Javadiyar has created Geeta Gopala, which is beautiful, just like the Ashtapadis of Saptapadis they are called as.
Okay.
Like Jayadevas, Krishna's charita, his attitudes, his beauty, his valor, everything is described in that. His minister Tirmalarya has created Sringara Saptapadi and other texts, Chikkadevara, Pinnappa and Vijaya and all those things, which are very beautiful to dance. Even those numbers used to be danced in the courtyard of Mysore Palace in the Krishna temple there. Who knows these things? The kings ordered them to be danced there.
Correct.
So it came till the 20th century and stopped somewhere once their royalty was removed from its position.
Right.
And such things happened.
People who are their students and their lineage, how did that just come to a sort of a
because there were not many sabhas and things which were formed in Karnataka, just like Tamil Nadu. They didn't take up the cause of these arts. They were all in ivory towers in the palace. Correct. And they didn't come much earlier. Later, people like me who went to Dr. Venkat Lakshma, I brought her to Bangalore. And some people went to Moor Jejama. By then, she was old and ailing and blind before she passed away. And it was very little we could learn from her.
That's right.
So, Kaushik Master was a student of Nanjangudu Nagaratnamma. He did a lot of work. Even Pallavi singing, he created dance for Ragatana Pallavi. These things have happened, but somehow we have not been able to break ice, I suppose.
It's not been Yeah, it has taken time, I think. It's only as you
Then,
said.
as I was telling you about Abhinaya, there's a method like Suchi Abhinaya. You suggestively, the dancers used to be proficient in singing also. They had to learn singing.
Singing.
And also the literature, Kalidasa's works and so many Sanskrit Bhasa's works and Telugu literature, Kannada literature. They had to go through the whole, even though they did not go to a regular academic school, they were made to study these things.
My goodness.
And then they were proficient, they had to sing themselves. Ashu Kavites were created on the spot, lyrics, slokas and vachanas and verses and javalis, which they had to sing themselves and dance. And that was appreciated very much by the scholars. The javali, especially the rendering of javali, is very beautiful in the Jatitayama's style. We render a Kandapadya, just like we render a Amarushataka sloka before the Padam. We render a Kandapadya, a 3-line verse, simple verse, which depicts the Naika, or the mood of the Naika, or the situation where she is in. It made all the Ashtanayikas are also depicted in those verses. So we choose one of those verses to dance before a Javali, which may depict a Virod Kantita or a Kandita or a Vask Saja, whatever you have chosen. So accordingly, we do the Kandapadya and then render the Javali. The Javali is beautified by the Jaradus, which are gliding movements. It is equal to the Manavi Gati spoken of in Abhinaya Darpana. Tata adu like it comes, but you glide along. It's a walking gait, not a adu as such. And that is used with effect on the mood of the Naika. Whether she is a Khandita, angry maiden, or she is a subdued Virod Kandita, or very pathetic one, or a Naika. Those things go accordingly. The softer footsteps go to them, depict the softer Naika. The strong and faster footsteps, the Jaradus, depict the strong-willed Naika, who is Pragalba and Dhira and all those things. They are very beautiful to watch and perform also. These are the things, and shlokas from Krishna Karnamrita, they are very beautiful. There also we perform quite a number of them. So this is what captured my heart a lot. When I went to Dr. Venkat Lakshma, I was always fond of Abhinaya. So I used to go down to Mysuru to learn from both Mugu, Tejamma and the 4 schools, as I told you, was the Kolara Parampara. I told you Kolara Parampara has very Yajamana Kittappa, Puttappa, Gundappa. Gundappa was my earlier teacher, Guru Keshamurthi's. I did my Raga Pravesha with HR Keshamurthi. His mentor was Kolara Gundappa. So earlier I learned that Kolara Parampara, the adus and all, which I keep to even today in my class. They're very nice. And
are they different?
Pardon?
So they are different from the adavus that we that.
Yes, we are very different from each other. I don't know how that we have arrived at that. Probably there was no connection between each other then. So they formed their own or whatever. And Mugu school has many exercises for a dancer, especially a Bharatanatyam dancer. They are very difficult, and if you follow that, your body becomes very supple. And you have a lot of stamina. And also the adus are also very varied in Mugu school, which I have added on to my school's adus. And the Nanjangudu also had different varieties. And each one of us differ also a lot, though we have a common thread amongst us.